So I'm having a bit of an internal conflict at the moment, because one part of me really wants to share this build with you guys because of how cool it is and how much fun it is, and the other part of me is like, I'm really not looking forward to ruining the state of PvP for a little bit, and also, I'm not really looking forward to getting ganked by my own build, but we're here now, and also I kind of owe it to you guys to update this build because it's been 1 year since this build last got an update, and that was in April of 2023. Now it's April 2024, so yeah, we're a little overdue for a build video on this thing. So before we get started, there are timestamps in the description of this video if you want to skip ahead, reference back to something that I said, or you just don't like the sound of my voice. So yeah, timestamps in the description, and having said that, let's talk. So yeah, this build has been on the channel for 2.5 years almost. Can you believe that? 2.5 years, alright? 2.5 years of me one-shotting and stealing people's hairlines, okay? Of course it goes back a little further than that before I had my channel and stuff, but this build is a staple on the channel, just like my bow build. I'm literally just known for my ability to gank people, which is interesting. I don't know what I'll do with this information, but regardless, today we'll be going over version 4.0 of my one-shot hybrid Nightblade stabby build, alright? Stabby build means we use stabby weapons to stab people in the face, alright? Don't judge. Don't judge. And I know I'm uploading this build video at a very strange time since we're in the middle of the week 1 update 42 PTS cycle, so that means anything about this build could change at the drop of a hat, but that's why I'm going to put in the description any changes I'll make to this build going into the Gold Road DLC in case something does change in the patch notes and we need to address it. But other than that, this build works perfectly fine in the Scions of Alithia DLC, and hopefully it'll work just fine in the Gold Road DLC, because if it doesn't, well, I will have wasted all my time making this glorious build video for you guys. And as it pertains to the approachability rating of this build, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 stars for its approachability rating because the hardest parts of this build are getting the gear and surviving after you've ganked somebody because everyone has D-techs and stuff. So if you can get past all that and you can press 3 buttons, you will do just fine on this build because the build practically plays itself at times. This build is incredibly fun to play, just like all the previous versions of it, and I do have a montage for you guys to showcase the awesomeness of this build. But before we move on to the montage, just a few things. First, if you have any questions about the build, please leave them in the comments and I'll see if I can get back to them. I don't want to see comments about, oh, it's not a real one-shot build. Okay, there are quotation marks around one-shot in the title for a reason. Second, I have a Discord. You are more than welcome to join it and goof off with me in real time. There's a link in the description. And finally, if you're not subscribed, but please subscribe. I don't know why you wouldn't be subscribed. Is literally free, and also I don't know what else I can do to make you subscribed if you're not already subscribed. Maybe you watch the montage and you'll change your mind. I don't know, but I do hope you enjoy the montage. Let's run back to Bleakers. This is where they're coming from.
Those two behind yellow, two behind.
Epic apologize.
No. Taking a look at our attributes, we have 0 points into stamina, 0 points into health, and 64 points into magic. This is to scale our tooltips as high as they can possibly go, and also a lot of our abilities cost magic anyways, so we're scaling for max magic on this build. These are the stats of the front bar unbuffed, these are the stats of the back bar unbuffed, and for those that care, here are the stats of the bars moderately buffed. And do note that these numbers get way higher while you're in combat. And let's take a look at that critical damage. On this build, we are a cat, obviously, for the passives that we get, those being Robustness, increasing all of our recoveries, Lunar Blessings, increasing all of our max stats, and Feline Ambush, increasing our critical damage and healing by 12%, making us a hide-and-seek pro. Cat is the best option for this build. I can't really see any other race getting the same kind of results, so embrace cat. For our Mundus stone, we have the Shadow. This increases our critical damage and healing, and we have this on because whenever we do crit, we want to hit real hard, so that way people die real quick, and we get big numbers with this Mundus stone on. So that's why we use the Shadow. On this build, we are Vampire Stage 3, because being a vampire lets us do some really cool stuff. Those being Dark Stalker, which allows us to ignore the movement speed penalty of Sneak, so we can sneak real fast. Strike from the Shadows, so whenever we come out of stealth to do our gank, we get some extra weapon and spell damage. And Undeath, we're already a vampire, and since we're a ganker, we're really squishy, so any mitigation we can fit onto the build is very welcome. Being a vampire is not negotiable on this build, so you must be vampire. For our consumables, for our food, we are using Bewitched Sugar Skulls. We're using this because we don't have to worry about sustain anymore, so building for max stats is a better option for us. And also, it's always nice to have some extra health, some extra mag and stam, so that's why we're using Sugar Skulls. I tend to keep a few of these on hand too while I'm out and about if I can afford it. This puts me at stage 4, and then I have Purifying Bloody Mars as well. This sets me back down by 1 stage, so I can manage my vampirism on the go. For our potions, we are using the Essence of Health, or the Tri-Stat Potion. This restores each of our resources when we use it and gives us recoveries for each of them. A good old all-rounder, and very useful in a pinch. But I'm finding myself using these a lot more lately, since everyone and their mother is a Nightblade. You can make these in a variety of different ways with a variety of different things, but stealth detect potions, you're gonna need these on this build. There's a lot of other people trying to be exactly like you and gank people, so having this is very important. And no, we have no poisons on this build. Alright, the moment you've all been waiting for, the grease. Alright, this is what makes the build work pretty good, alright? These are all the grease stuff. On our front bar, we have a Flame Blossom Battle Axe with an Oblivion Damage enchant. This is sharpened. My choice for an Oblivion Damage enchant is interesting. It's because this guarantees that we deal 5% of our target's maximum health, so this allows us to pick on really tanky targets. And I also like it because it can't be mitigated at all. So I'm getting pretty good results with it, so that's why I'm using it. And for Flame Blossom, I have this here instead of something like Cinder Moth, simply because Flame Blossom is just so daggum consistent, okay? It shoots a line of fire forward after you hit someone, and this can't be dodged, this can't be blocked, and the damage, it's got a higher tooltip than Cinder Moth as well. Well, it's Flame Blossom, and it just has a special place in my heart because it's been on almost every one of these builds, so that's why we're using Flame Blossom. On our back bar, we have the Vegan Special, the Vegetarian's Great Sword with a weapon damage enchantment. This is defending. We have Rally on this build, so whenever we cast Rally, we get stacks. Those stacks give us weapon and spell damage, which buffs our proc sets, and also, whenever we do a medium weaver, a fully charged heavy attack, we make them explode, okay? So we have another damage proc on here, and also that contributes to the damage that our proc sets deal, so, you know, the Vegan Special. For our head, we have Anthelmere Construct's Mask, meaning it's medium, with a Tri-Stat enchantment. This is Divines. This is one of the new proc sets that came out with the new DLC, and basically, whenever you do a fully charged heavy attack, you throw a tomahawk at your enemy's forehead, and you also reduce their armor, okay? This reduced armor hits pretty quick, so for the duration that we're going to be dealing our damage, we reduce their armor. They take a proc, and also it's a 2-piece, so we can kind of squeeze it into the build and get even more proc cheese, okay? So it's a pretty good set. If you don't have this, you can run Celine's in its place. Celine's is a little slower than this, but it'll work just fine if you don't have this yet. For our chest, we have a Tarnished Tarnished Nightmare Jack with a Tri-Stat enchantment. This is Divines. This is also one of the new sets that came out with the most recent DLC, and it's another proc set, and it's literally literally perfect for ganking. You get 3 lines of crit chance and 5 items. Whenever you deal critical damage of any kind to your target, you deal some upfront physical damage, you apply the Sundered status effect to them, and this all happens in an 8-meter radius, okay? And this set is awesome because the first thing that happens when you come out of stealth is you deal a critical hit because you have cloak on, right? So this is guaranteed to proc as the first thing in your combo, and you deal physical damage. Whenever you apply the Sundered status effect, you deal some upfront damage, so you double dip with damage with this set. You reduce your target's armor by 3k because you apply minor breach to them, and now you gain 100 weapon and spell damage whenever you apply the Sundered status effect. So you're literally empowering the rest of your gank combo with this set, and since it's the first thing that lands, the rest of your combo is empowered with this set. This set is literally about as good as it gets when it comes for ganking, and like, you can't get much better than this. You can run Ashen Grip in its place until you get this set, but if you don't have this set and you're trying to put this build together, you're not going to get the same results unless you have Tarnished Nightmare. And it's time for a break. Let's go. For our shoulder, we have Anthelmir's Construct Arm Cops, meaning it's medium with a tri-stat enchantment. It is Divines. For our waist, we have a Flame Blossom Sash with a magic enchant. This is Divines. For our hands, we have Flame Blossom Gloves with a magic enchant. These are Divines. For our legs, we have Tarnished Nightmare Guards with a tri-stat enchantment. These are Divines. For our feet, we have Tarnished Nightmare Boots with a tri-stat enchantment. These are Divines. For our neck, we have a Tarnished Nightmare Amulet with a weapon damage enchantment. This is Infused. For our first ring, we have a Tarnished Nightmare Ring with a weapon damage enchant. This is Infused. And for our second ring, we have a Flame Blossom Ring with a weapon damage enchantment, and this is also Infused. You'll notice that all of our jewelry is infused and all of our gear is in Divines. This is to push the numbers we get with this build as far as they will go. Divines, of course, goes towards our Shadow Mundus and our crit damage, and our infused jewelry goes towards our tooltips and our proc sets, so they hit even harder. And also for our armor weights, I typically get the best results when I have 2 light and 5 medium on, because you get the perfect balance of pin, crit chance, and critical damage with this, and we just so happen to have Flame Blossom on, which is a light set, so I'd recommend going for the waist and the hands with this set because you get the least armor value for the hands and the waist, so for min-max purposes, hands and waist. And for the substitutes for this, if you don't have Flame Blossom, Red Mountain will work. It's just really slow. If you don't have the vegan special, you can use Agility 2H, but you kind of need this because you want to fit in as many procs as you can. For Anthelmir's, I think I mentioned you could use Celine's, and for Tarnished, you can use Ashen Grip, but you're not going to get the same results. For our skills, on our front bar, the first ability we have is Killer's Blade. This is our execute ability, so that way when we get through our combo and they're still not dead, we stab them in the face and then they die, and we get heals for it. This is an assassination ability. You're going to see this as a trend on our front bar. We have a lot of assassination abilities slotted, so that way our pressure points passive can really stack up some crit chance for us. Next, we have Camouflage Hunter. This is here because while it's slotted, we get a bunch of passive damage buffs, mainly the Minor Berserk whenever we hit someone from behind, increasing all of our damage done by 5%, and also having it slotted gives us access to the Slayer passive, which increases our weapon and spell damage by 3%, and, you know, it can pull Nightblades and stuff out of stealth too, so that's useful since there's so many of those running around this patch. Next, we have Piercing Mark. This applies Major Breach to our enemy for 1 minute, but also I use this because I like to bully other Nightblades that are out trying to gank me and stuff. This does not allow our enemy to go into stealth for 3 seconds if we put this on them, and we can sustain this pretty well, and we just spam this on our target to bully them. And then we get up real close to them while they think they're invisible, and then we stab them in the face, and they're like, I thought I was invisible, and then they die. Also, if we kill our target while this is up on them, we also heal all the way back up to full health, so that's a nice little bonus. But yeah, if you need to take out a big tanky target, this helps. If you're having trouble with Nightblades, this helps. It's a very good utility skill, and I'd recommend slotting it. Next, we have Concealed Weapon. This is our spammable ability. This is what we follow up with after we do our fully charged heavy attack, because coming out of stealth, this ability gets a 10% damage buff, and yeah, it hits incredibly hard. I think it has the highest base tooltip for a spammable in the game now. It's pretty obnoxious. Also, while it's slotted, we get Minor Expedition, so we can keep up with our targets most of the time if they try and run away, and we can spam this on their forehead until they die, or they get into execute range. So yeah, it's a great spammable. Next, we have Merciless Resolve. This is the legendary Spec Bow proc right here. This will steal your enemy's forehead in the blink of an eye, and yeah, it hits super hard, and it's not hard to charge up and manage at all. And most of the time, this will just outright kill your enemy, and you won't even be able to get to the execute range because they'll already be dead. So yeah, having this ability slotted just kind of guarantees that people die real good. For our ultimate ability on our front bar, we have Incapacitating Strike. Normally we would run Soul Harvest because that would give us some extra ult when we kill somebody, but you know, this gives us 10% more damage now whenever we cast it with 100 or 30 or more ult, and also increases the duration we deal extra damage to our target to 12 seconds. So the fact that we can hurt our target even harder after we use this for longer, and it hits harder, means we're gonna slot it. So yeah, this is our ultimate. Very cheap, very powerful, very good. On our back bar, we have Race Against Time. This gives us Major Expedition, so we can run real fast, and also gives us Minor Force, so our critical damage is raised even higher. And also this gives us immunity to snares and stuff, so if someone does try and root us down, we can just get away from them. This is very good just for buffing us in general. Next, we have Resolving Vigor. This is our heal over time. Sometimes you're not going to be able to go into stealth and stuff, so having a heal over time in case you do need it is always very useful. And also, if you want to get your health back from siphoning strikes, you can use this too. Speaking of which, siphoning attacks, this ability was changed so it works exactly like Dark Deal, but steals your health instead. This ability gives us basically infinite sustain while we're in stealth, so we don't really need to worry about our sustain anymore. We just have to worry about how much health we have. Don't get too overzealous when using this ability, because sometimes you'll use it a lot, and you won't realize you have 5k health, and then you'll die to something stupid, and you'll be like, why did I die? It's because you used all of your health to get all your resources back. So do be aware how often you use this, and well, this ability is stupid for sustain on a ganker. Next, we have Rally, a very loaded skill, gives us access to our vegetarian proc, and also gives us our damage buff, minor endurance, increasing our stam recovery, and it's also a burst heal on top of that. So yeah, we can use this to get our health back as well from siphoning. Very loaded ability, very dense, and it's awesome. Next, we have Shadowy Disguise. This is our cloak invisibility ability, so that way we can go invisible and people can't see us. Very self-explanatory. And while it's slotted now, we get Savagery on both bars, so our critical chance is raised, despite having it on our back bar, which is pretty good, and guarantees that we can land a critical hit whenever we use this, so you know, good for setting up combos as well. For our back bar ultimate, we have Soul Tether. This is here as our, oh no, I need to do something about all these people surrounding me button. It doesn't work sometimes because it's got a 0.5 second cast time, but when it does go off, you can normally get away from your targets and get a pretty good heal as well. So this is here as, you know, insurance, basically. And be sure to fill out all of your passives. For our champion points in the role player tree, we have Gifted Rider, Master Gatherer, Plentiful Harvest, and Steed's Blessing, and this is a very important passive to have on a Nightblade. In the Sweaty tree, we have Fighting Finesse, Deadly Aim, Master at Arms, and Untamed Aggression. We're going full offense with these CPs. In the Potato tree, we have Celerity, Survival Instincts, Sustained by Suffering, and Slippery. We have Slippery here because the game lags and sometimes you need that extra bit of help breaking free. So yeah. And also make sure you fill out all your little golden stars as well as only put 10 points into Mystic Tenacity, so that way this has more mileage, and so does this thing right here. Welcome to the Combat Stuff section. If you have no idea what a Combat Stuff section is, well, one, you're new here, and that means you need to subscribe, and second, it is where we go to talk about all the little finer details of the build, like how to play it, the rotation, and things you need to know, like mechanics and stuff, so that way, when you're out on the battlefield, you don't look like a chicken with your head cut off, and that way you can actually use the build effectively, okay? So, if that sounds good to you, let's get started. So let's talk mechanics. On this build, we are using the stealth mechanic, and I'm not talking about whenever you use cloak and it says hidden in the middle of your screen and oh, you're invisible or whatever. No, we're actually crouching, so that way we can get behind our target and stun our target coming out of stealth, because if you just cloak and you sneak up behind your target and then you hit them, you're not going to stun them at all. You have to actually be crouched, and it has to say hidden in the middle of your screen in order to successfully stun a target coming out of stealth. We use this for a number of reasons. The main reason is because we can only stun our target coming out of stealth if we're crouched and we're hidden and we hit them from behind, okay? If you just cloak and you hit your target coming out of stealth with that, is not going to stun your target. You actually have to be behind your target, crouched in stealth, and like I said, behind them in order to stun them. If you're having trouble being behind your target, it's very easy. Just picture a cone coming out of your enemy's face and be anywhere behind that cone, and it should count as a flank, so that way you can stun. And we want to stun our target because it kind of guarantees that we can land all of our damage before our enemy can respond, because they have to break free before they can start defending themselves. So in that little window of time that we have while they're stunned, we hit them with a lot of stuff and then they die, okay? And the second reason is it's way easier to sustain crouch than it is to sustain cloak, because cloak costs 3k mag and it costs about 20 stam to sneak while you're moving. And you can clearly see which one is a lot more viable for, you know, long-term invisibility. All right, and also it's very important that you have that magic ready when you actually need to use your utilities on your skill bar, because if you don't have any magic because you're spam casting cloak to be invisible, well, you're gonna get detected and then you're gonna die and you're gonna have no way to defend yourself, just like the people that we were ganking. And the final reason is coming out of stealth also gives us our concealed weapon buff, so that hits harder, and we also get 300 weapon and spell damage. So you can see why learning how to use stealth on this build is vitally important to how you use this build. Now that I've learned you up real good about the mechanics that this build takes advantage of, let's talk about the rotation. The rotation is so stupid simple, your grandma can master this and get 50 plus kills in a BG with it, alright? All you gotta do is get behind your target, alright? Do a fully charged heavy attack. Once that fully charged heavy attack lands, if you have your ultimate, use your ultimate. And if you have your spec bow, use your spec bow after you use your ultimate. If you don't have either of those, just use a veiled strike and then do a light attack veiled strike until your target gets low enough that you can use your killer's blade, and then use your killer's blade, and then they will be dead. It's probably the easiest rotation of all time, and if you can't master this, then there is no hope for you using this build. As it relates to sustain, we don't have sustain problems on this build, okay? If you have sustain problems on this build, all right, put siphoning strikes on, which you should have, okay, and then start using it, all right, then heal, and then use it some more, and then heal, and then there you go, all your resources are back, okay? So now that we've talked about something that's super duper easy to do, let's talk about something that isn't super easy to do, and that is stay alive on this build, okay? This build has surprised me with how resilient it is. I think it's just because Nightblade is a super powerful class right now, but this build should not be able to brawl, yet I'm able to do that, but I would not recommend doing it because it's never a smart idea. Basically, in order to stay alive on this build, you need to stay out of the sight of other people, because you come out of stealth, you use your combo, and that's all you have to do. That's your entire job. Okay, the other part of your job is not getting detected and staying hidden, okay? As long as you can stay hidden on this build, you will be okay, you will be able to survive. Unfortunately, sometimes stealth is not going to be an option, and then at that point you have to get very creative with how you're going to survive. Most people's definition of being creative with their survivability is running away from the guy that's trying to kill them. They use line of sight, they use all their roll dodges, and they just try and put as much distance between them and the guy that's trying to kill them as possible. And while this will work sometimes, getting creative actually means something completely different if you're me, and that is use your class strengths and your build strengths to your advantage. This build has so much damage that the guy that's chasing you down likely won't survive if you actually just ignore trying to get a gank off on him, and instead you just hit him with a full combo straight up while you're out of stealth, because sometimes with this build it's a lot easier to kill the guy that's trying to chase you than it is to run away from the guy that's trying to chase you. Everything is so situational though, like the guy that is chasing you, you could try and turn around on him and he'll actually roll dodge your combo and block it and stuff, and then you'll have to go play defensive again. But like I said, so situational. You'll just have to figure these kind of things out on your own, but get creative with it and use your brain and you should be just fine. And just some other little bonus notes I'll toss in there before we wrap things up. This game is not going to work sometimes. Recently, performance has just gone all the way to the floor. I don't know what happened to the servers, but everything feels like it's running on peanut butter because I can't move half the time. What I mean by that is, sometimes you'll go for a gank, your target will be right in front of you, and then once you go for that gank, you get your heavy attack lined up and everything, your target will rubber band 50 yards that way, and then you can't hit him no more, and I don't know why that happens. Or, you know, you'll go for that heavy attack and the heavy attack will fly right over your target's head and it won't work. Or, you know, you'll do the fully charged heavy attack, but for some reason your ability will cancel out your heavy attack. It's weird, and that happens too. And then sometimes you'll be in the middle of a field and you'll just randomly be detected, and it's not because someone has a detect on you or anything. It's because a guard 500 yards away decided he wanted to detect you and put you in combat for whatever reason. Just expect this game not to work, and expect this game not to work especially when you're trying to survive or fight back against somebody. That's why I say it's unwise to brawl, because most of the time time, your survival skills, they're just not going to fire. You'll press the button 5 or 6 times, like Vigor or your Rally to go off. It's not going to go off, and you'll just die. Your Soul Tether, it has a 0.5 second cast time, but to Zenimax, that means it has a 4 second cast time. So you'll try and go for it, and you'll just be standing there, and you'll be like, where's my ultimate? And then you'll die, and you'll be wondering why your ultimate didn't go off. Listen, a lot of things will go wrong. Just be prepared for it and expect it. And I think that wraps up the combat stuff section. Let me know if you have any questions about how this build works or anything in the comments below, but it shouldn't be that complicated to understand because it's literally like 90% build and 10% skill because we're being carried by our proc sets when it comes to our offense, okay? The 10% comes in when you're trying to survive and you're fighting other people without using stealth, okay? You really do need to have some head knowledge at that point. But yeah, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. And with that, I officially have maybe ruined the next couple patches of ESO. I don't know yet. We'll find out. But if you're still here by this point in the video, I want to offer you an invitation into our wonderful community. All you got to do is click that subscribe button. And if you want to take it a step further, I have a channel members available for you to join. There's a link in the description, and you can also click the join button. You get some really cool perks, and these guys know how cool those perks are. And also, I think I mentioned I have a Discord. You could join that too. We got the best memes, the best emojis, and the best people of all time. It's the best place to hang out in the world. And I do streams from time to time. If you're subscribed to the channel or you're in the Discord, you'll get notifications for those, and you can come hang out with me while I play the game. Maybe even play this build live for you guys. I don't know. You'll have to be subscribed to find out. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. All of you guys are awesome, and have a good night.